Like many things in America, that's not an accident. There's a guy on this app who does videos breaking down dark marketing techniques, and I would love it if he did a breakdown of the dark marketing that happens in the United States of America. Because when you think about labor unions and their actual purpose and how badly Americans have been misled, is dark marketing 101. Labor unions used to be really powerful in America. They worked to improve working conditions, get better working hours, better pay. There was collective bargaining. They were powerful. They had America's best interests truly at heart, the working class individual. Can't have that. So over decades, businesses and political groups have funded campaigns that depict unions as corrupt, as unnecessary, harmful to the economy. These messages have been repeated so much over and over and over again that we honestly don't even need to really do any marketing for it anymore. There's people who toe the anti-union line. They toe it so hard and they believe it without questioning. I was on a video talking about unions, and people in the comments were so angry because they were like, oh, if you get a union, then it's going to make the corporation mad and then they're just going to go to Mexico. And I'm like, you're mad at the people who wanted better conditions overall instead of the people who said, you tried to make this better. It's going to cost too much for us to treat you right, so we're going to go somewhere else that has less regulations. And we're just like, yeah, that's the right thing to do. Then you look at the media and messaging that has been pushed, and then you multiply that times the concept of rugged individualism, which is this idea that success comes only from individual effort and hard work and not collective action. And you have where we are today. A huge part of the reason why our minimum wage hasn't been increased is exactly because of these concepts. As a result of the demonization of labor unions, companies have been allowed to engage in abusive practices. As someone who's worked in a corporate setting, I've seen the argument that like corporations or, like the corporate baddies don't need labor union representation, but I know firsthand that a lot of y'all who are working in a corporate office setting are doing the roles of like 5 different people, because there's people in charge who either don't know the scope of what has to be done and are just assigning it to you, or they just don't care, or they've paid you quote unquote a cush enough salary, or you think it's cush enough to where you don't want to rock the boat, but in actuality you're wondering why you make so much money and you're still broke. So they buy your silence. As a result, they have less collective resistance because you're doing better than the people who you see complaining online, but not really. What's even more concerning is people would rather believe that someone who is engaged in poor business practices is going to dig them out of the hole that they're in, instead of looking at the hole that they're in as only being in that hole because of buying into the myth of rugged individualism. There's too many people who are getting to the point of 65 and plus and dying and not being able to pay for their health care or even retire for the concept of rugged individualism to be a rule for everybody. But I think that the reason why it's upheld so highly is because the alternative would be acknowledging that the system is broken. And you can't spend your entire life down talking or trashing people who are telling you that the system is broken only to realize that the system is broken. So we're playing an ego game right now. And I'm praying that it doesn't have to get worse before it gets better, but I think that that's exactly what's going to have to happen. If you look at what's going on in the UK right now, the Labour Party just won in like a sweeping election against the Conservative Party, who's been in power for maybe like the last, I want to say like 12 or 13 years they've been in power. It takes having to lose faith in the idea that people who care more about profits are going to make the economy better overall for everyone. So the dark marketing that the US has engaged in ultimately pushes us towards developing any type of class solidarity. Man, if people only knew how controlled we are, more people would be angry, I think. It's all the same logic that keeps people from talking about their salaries. Just the other day, someone in our city asked, like, hey, how much are we all making, you guys? Which is so interesting because it's like one of the very first pushes that I've seen towards people kind of trying to get on the same page. And the amount of comments that were in there that were telling people that your salary is between you and God was so surprising to me, because it's like, who taught you that? Who told you that's the way that it had to be?